but I have started assembling my Canada blanket. So all of these beautiful squares have been blocked. Hey everyone, it's Natalie, also known as Nitty Natty. Welcome to episode 291 of the Love in Stitches podcast. We are back in Tennessee at my parents' house, and this past week has been so nice, just getting kind of back into a normal routine. I am reunited with all of my yarn. It's a little chaotic back here. I'm trying to integrate all the things that I brought home. Plus, I got some stuff in the mail, so we're going to have a little happy mail segment this week, which is really fun. And I've just been enjoying being stationary. I do, of course, miss some of the aspects of being on the road, but it's so nice to just be here and to start to relax and have somewhat of a schedule again. Well, I have some fun things to show you today. If you don't make it all the way through the podcast, I do want to share that I am going to be hosting the October challenge for the pigskin party that Boston Gin is running, and it is a Cozy Up challenge. I'll talk about all the details later on in the Yarny News segment, but just in case you don't get there, I wanted to share that because that does start October 1st, and I'm going to put the link to join Boston Gin's pigskin party in the description below. All right, with that, let's get into the first project. I have finished knitting my Leith cardigan. It's not 100% done. It still needs buttons and a couple ends woven in, but the knitting is all done. And it is damp, so I can't try it on for you right now, but I will try to come back later today. I think it will be dry later today, and I will try it on for you and show you. But look at it. How cute is this? So this is a Leith cardigan by Rebecca Clow. I have made this in record time. One, I think because this is a worsted weight sweater, and because it has stripes, so it was very addicting to make because you just want to do the next stripe and do the next stripe. It's like just 12 rows, then just 12 rows. But also because I had a lot of knitting time as we drove home last week, and then I've just spent a little bit of this week relaxing, and I don't know, it's just been so much fun. So before I talk about what I did this week, let's look back at the history of this cardigan. It's not a very long one. So I started this on September 12th. That was actually my first attempt because I did start this, get like maybe halfway up the back and realized that I had cast on a size too small, which was my error. I just like circled the wrong number. So then I ripped it out and started it back over. So I think that was in a matter of like 4 days. So let's just say maybe like September 16th, I restarted it, and I finished this on September 28th. So all in all, from the very first cast on to finishing it yesterday, 18 days, but I guess really about 2 weeks, which is just wild. And to be fair, I was working exclusively on this. I maybe did a couple rows on a sock, maybe I did a little bit on my Canada blanket this week too, but mostly working on this project, and it just zoomed through. So this week I added the sleeves and the button band. So last week I kind of just had a vest, and then each sleeve went so fast. Usually I get a little stalled out with sleeves, but not these because they were just so fun and easy to do. I ended up shifting my decreases a little bit. I can't remember. I think I was supposed to do them like every 1.5 inches, and I did them like every 1.75 inches because I just did them on the last row of my stripe, which worked out really great. So it was so easy to mentally keep up with, right? I would do my 11 rows, and then on my 12th row, I would decrease, and that made it just so easy. I did end up making my sleeves longer. This is something I have to do in most patterns, is add a little bit of length to the sleeves. I am worried though that I might have made them too long now that this is blocked, but I won't be able to tell until it's dry and I can try it on. Before blocking, they were coming like mid-palm, which is great. And I didn't get any growth in my swatch, but that's not to say that it won't grow now that it's a full sweater. So I might have to do a little taking back. I might just shorten the cuff a little bit if needed, because I don't really want to take out the stripe. Oh, that's one other thing I changed. In the original pattern, she starts the sleeve here with the color, with the contrast, and I started it with my neutral. I got really lucky and it ended with my neutral too, so it's kind of like the perfect little end to it. I think I have 10 total stripes on my sleeve, 5 of each color. So that just kind of was like a happy accident, I guess. I have left my end here just in case I do need to rip it back. Then I did the button band, and I did make a modification here. So last month, maybe, I think it was, could have been a little longer ago than that, I made a vest. It's a hot pink vest. I still need to weave in the ends and block it and everything. I was hoping I could get it done before this podcast, but that just did not happen. So maybe next week. But I made a vest, and it had a double knit button band, which is what this sweater also has, but it had you do it in a totally different way. So in Rebecca's pattern, in the Leith cardigan, she has you knit the button band separately and then sew it on. And when I saw that, I was like, ugh, like I really don't want to do that. So I'm going to take what I learned from the vest and I'm going to put it into this cardigan. The results will still be the same. So essentially, and I wrote some notes in my project page for this. What is happening here? Try to get back to the beginning of this. So essentially what you do, and I'm trying to be so careful because this is still kind of damp. I shouldn't have blocked this. I shouldn't have blocked this last night, but I was so excited after I finished binding off, and I was like delusional that it would get dry by today. It's close. It should be dry by this afternoon. But yeah, I was like, let me just block it because I want to show everyone what it looks like finished. Because, you know, when it's not blocked, it's kind of like all shrunken up a little bit, and it was a mistake. I should have waited until today. Back to what I was saying. I picked up stitches all the way around from, you know, one bottom, like the right hand front bottom, all the way up and around to the left. And I did that on like one long needle, and then you have to cut your yarn so that you can come back and rejoin on the right hand side. And then I just followed the instructions in this pattern. I cast on the number of stitches that Rebecca had in the pattern. The only thing I had to change was the order of the stitches. So when you do a double knit button band, you're basically knitting one, slipping one with yarn in front. And when you do it this way, you do need to start with the slip one with yarn in front for an even number of stitches. And then you use the last stitch on your button band, you slip that and you knit one from like the pickup and then pass a stitch over. So every other row, you're consuming a stitch from the pickup, and so it just gets attached as you go around, and it looks, and I've also left, those are from the buttonholes. I've left those in case I need to make the buttonholes a little smaller, but it just looks so nice and clean and even. I did a 3 out of every 4 stitch pickup rate for this, so not the exact same number of rows. And look, even on the decreases, it looks so nice. This is definitely credit to Rebecca for writing such a good pattern and giving you that selvage for picking up, because I mean you would have used it for sewing anyway, but it just all looks so clean and nice. I am really quite pleased with myself for how this came out. So I have one thing that I would have changed, or if I make this again, that I would do differently, and that is the finishing on the ribbing. So there's no indication of how to cast on or how to bind off in this pattern, so I just went with long tail. So there's the bottom edge. I just did long tail, and I started with a wrong side row so that my little, you know, purl bumps, do you see them right here? The little purl bumps from the long tail wouldn't show on the right hand side. And I wish I had taken the time to do a tubular cast on. I think that just would have been really nice. This whole thing is so polished, especially with the double knit button band, that I feel like the tubular cast on would have been a really nice touch. And then I would have done the same thing for the sleeves. Because I didn't cast on with tubular, I didn't bind off with tubular, I just bound off in pattern. It's fine, it looks nice, it's nothing wrong with this, but I think it would have just been a really nice touch to have that tubular cast on and tubular bind off. So I just put a note. I like to put notes in my pattern of like what I learned, what I would do next time, even if it's not the same sweater. Sometimes then I realize, you know, if I go into another similar sweater, realizing that like I really like this kind of cast on for this kind of ribbing, and just it kind of helps to remind me of that. What was I going to say? Oh, I have no clue what kind of buttons I want for this cardigan. Like, what do you think would look good? I don't know if I want to go just really simple and plain and just let the cardigan do the talking, you know, all the fun colors in the cardigan do the talking. I feel like it will be easier to tell when I'm able to put this on and you can see it. I think maybe like, I thought maybe black would be really good, or maybe I should go more of a warmer tone since I do have this brown in there. I thought maybe I should do something more fun and whimsical and get like 4 different colors. But I have no clue. So if you have any ideas of what kind of buttons you think would look good on this cardigan, please help me out because I'm a little lost. I did look at some buttons. I went to my local yarn store, Bliss, this week, and they have some good options, but there was I just couldn't really figure out exactly what I wanted to do. So next week, maybe I'll have a totally finished cardigan I can show you with all the ends woven in and the buttons and it being dry. The other project that I have been working on this week, and this actually almost caused me not to finish the cardigan by today. I had to really be disciplined with myself and be like, okay, you're moving on to the next thing. When you're so close to finishing your current project, just sit down and finish it. And I did last night, but I have started assembling my Canada blanket. So all of these beautiful squares have been blocked. So my process for this, I first needed to figure out a layout. So I finally landed on a layout. Oh my gosh. I am using 42 squares. I am doing it's 6 squares wide and 7 squares long. It is going to be a huge blanket. My squares do vary a little bit in size, but roughly they're like 8 to 9 inches across. And then there's going to be a border around it as I join them. So there's a solid color that I'm using to join all of them. So once I figured out my layout, I then started working on arranging the squares, and I have 2 different kinds of squares, right? So I have squares that are a solid granny, and then I have 12 different pattern squares from the Yorkshire blanket. So I made sure to alternate. So I have a solid square, a pattern square, a solid square, a pattern square, and it just alternates throughout the blanket. I also did my best to kind of balance the colors. So I made each yarn that I have has 2 squares, except for my final 2 squares. They are different. But I made sure that those colors didn't end up in the same row or the same column. So I think it all looks pretty balanced. Actually, I do have a picture of the layout. So it's a little dark. It's mostly just a note for me to like remember how to put everything together in order, but always take a picture when you figure out a layout or a color scheme for things. It's very, very helpful. Actually, that reminds me about my sweater. One of the mistakes that I made this week is I picked up and started with the wrong color on the wrong sleeve. And I think I talked about that in last week's podcast, actually. I kept saying that I was going to put green on this side, and I even picked up with green, and I was knitting on it, and then I went to sleep. The next day I woke up and I went, I used the wrong color. And I was able to go back to the picture that I took in the yarn store of the layout to double check myself. And yeah, I had put blue next to pink in that photo, and I was able to fix it. I totally forgot about that. That happened this past week. Oh my goodness. So anyway, always take a picture because it is very helpful to refer back to. So after I had my layout and everything, I started to wash and block these squares. I'm not blocking them like super aggressively or anything. I'm just kind of getting them washed, pinning in the corners of them and getting them somewhat the same size. I mean, things are not going to change all that much. They're different sizes, mostly because I use different yarns. The Battenberg ones, the solid granny squares, they should all come out the same size, right? It's only different because I'm using different yarns. And then the Yorkshire ones that are patterned, they all do come out roughly the same size, like really, really close. The pattern is so good. So it's just because I have different yarns. Like you can see here, the difference between these ones is probably between, oh gosh, you can't see. It's probably between like maybe 3/4 of an inch. So it's not that big of a deal. It'll all be fine at the end of the day. I'm not going to be laying out the blanket flat or anything. I'm going to be using it. So it will all be good. So I started blocking them mostly to wash them really and make sure I don't have any dye runoff. So I would take like the next set of squares and I would wash all the lighter colored ones together and then the darker ones together, trying to just maximize the amount of water, minimize the amount of water that I'm using so that I didn't waste anything. So I've got all these clean so far. I think I only have 6 squares left to wash, and so far minimal dye runoff. So that is really good. And I have started attaching. It's a very small right now. I only have 3 squares attached, but I am using the Yorkshire blanket technique. So there's 3 rows worked here. You work 2 rows around the square and then you work a joining row. And it creates this really pretty kind of twisted, raised situation. So you can see how much is getting added like between the squares. So the blanket's going to get a lot bigger, both in width and length, because that goes between the squares on all sides. But so far, so good. I'm really happy with this pink color. So the pink is the yarn that I dyed with Polka Dot Creek when I was in Alberta. And forgive me, I haven't put the tag on this one yet, but it's just a really, really pale pink. And they've called it Natalie's Special Pink because we essentially took a color they already had and just dialed it down a little bit and muted it. And I think it's going to be perfect for the blanket. Honestly, the blanket, when I laid it out at first, I was like, this looks very chaotic. I tried my best to stick with pinks and purples as I was collecting the yarns, but I knew that, it wasn't going to be the most cohesive blanket I've ever made. But honestly, putting it together with the pink, I think is helping. I'm kind of glad I chose that over something more neutral. I think it's really helping to kind of tie everything together. So I am so eager. Like after this, when I have my lunch break, I'm going to be working on my next square. I'm so excited to work on this blanket and to get it assembled. It's also just a nice, like, rounding out of finishing out our journey, because our travel in Canada is over. It's completed. We're back home. But as I go through the squares, I kind of get to go back through the memories of the trip, and it's just been really fun. So having such a great time with this one. Now that I'm back at my parents', I had a couple of things in the mail that I got to open up when I got here. And one of those things was a total surprise. And it was from Alicia of World on a String, who was one of our Sock Week sponsors this year. And she sent me this adorable bag. It's a little, I would say probably like sock size project. It has the cute little heart hardware that we used for the Sock Week bag. And the inside is also this really fun rainbow stripe. So I love this. Thank you so much. She also sent a yarn cozy that matches. So it's in like a jersey fabric that's really stretchy. And then yarn. I didn't even know that Alicia was dyeing yarn. And it has speckles that kind of match the bag. Isn't that so cool? So I thought that was really sweet. I love this so much. The bottom of the bag is like purple, which is, I think, so cute. And that was just a really nice surprise to get. So I'm very happy. It's like a very happy project altogether. The other thing that I got is, and sorry, this is going to be, I don't want to take these out of the package because I want them to stay nice because I'm not going to work on them for a while. I have all of my yarns from the Color Hype collective from Ruby and Roses. So this is a collection of, I think it's 15 colors each month, and you can choose 10 or 20 gram minis. And it's not a club in the sense that you sign up once and then you get it every month. You are able to like opt into each month as you like. So she posts about it on her Instagram. I run over and make sure to get mine because I want to make a sweet shop blanket in the end with all of these really fun colors. So I think, and I'm sure it says on the back of the label, but again, I'm not opening this up. I think this was the first one. It started out strong with pinks, and then it went into like a deeper, darker pink, and then it went to reds. I mean, still a little pink. And then it went to oranges. And then I should have another one somewhere. I need to search for it. That's yellows, I believe, or maybe it hasn't come in yet. So I'm so excited for these. Hold on, let's get them all together. They're going to look so cool when I can finally get them into my blanket. Okay, no more crinkling them, set those on the floor. One last thing I got, and actually I think this arrived a couple months ago, but I didn't get it until just recently, is a mystery, but so cool. Somebody sent me these awesome sock blockers that are customized. It's like raised, it says Love and Stitches, and it says this way, Nitty Natty on here. And it looks like you can take these pieces out. I actually haven't tested this yet, but it looks like you can pop them out and then pop them back in like at a different point to adjust the size of the foot, which is so cool. So I don't know who sent me these. I don't think there was a note in the package or anything. It's completely possible that somebody emailed with me and I said, yeah, send me these, and then it popped out of my mind. So I just can't remember. I need to search through my email. I should have done that already, but I really need to search through my email. Maybe they go this way. No, this is definitely the foot. That makes sense. But aren't these so cool? So if that was you, please let me know. I would love to share if people can order these because they are so cool. I think that's such a clever design. And you can definitely change them because look, that one has a gap in it and that one doesn't. So those are the fun things that I got in the mail this week as I was going through all the boring stuff like bills and different other letters. I got to open up all of my fun yarns. We have a couple of fun questions this week, but as always, if you have any questions for me, knitting, crochet, life, travel, just put them in the comments down below. But if you put the hashtag question in front, it helps me to find them and make sure to answer them in the next week's episode. Okay, this question is from Jessica. Hi, Natalie. Thank you for taking the time to answer our questions. My question is this. When you see a yarn that is stunning, while out and about, how much should you buy for a sweater without a pattern in mind? I'm about to go to the Flock and Fiber Festival in Oregon, and I'm hoping to get some special sweater yarn when I'm there, but I don't have a pattern ready to go. Also, does the weight of said yarn change the quantity to buy, and by how much? This is such a great question. And I would love if you guys would help me out in answering this question and all of the questions and give your 2 cents also in the comments, because I'm going to give you my opinion and what I would do, but it's not like the end all be all answer to any of the questions. So I think that it's such a good idea to have maybe like a little cheat sheet in your phone of how much yardage or skeins or grams of yarn you need for different weights of yarn that you like to work with for different projects that you like. So let's just do sweater because that's what you asked. So if you know you want to make a sweater and you want to buy sweaters quantities, but you don't have any clue of your pattern, I would still go to Ravelry and find a basic sweater pattern. Let's say the flax sweater. The flax is a great sweater. It's by Tin Can Knits. It's a free pattern, I think. Isn't it a free pattern? Well, I'll have to double check that. But it's a pattern that you can access and you can look at your size. You can look at like what yardage you would need for that size. And it comes in multiple weights, so you could also compare that. So let's say you look at the flax sweater, you go and you find your size in there, and then you go and you look at the yardage. And I would write that down, like make a little note in your phone and just say, worsted weight, I don't know, 2,000 yards. That's probably not enough, but 2,000 yards, worsted weight 2,000 yards. That is going to be good for like a plain sweater, you know, long sleeved, no hood, no attachments, no other things. So what I would probably do is add a full skein to that at least, because what if you end up making something that has texture to it? Texture is going to take up more yarn, or if it has cables in it, it's going to take up more yarn. Or if you think you might do something that has a little more length, that's going to take up more yarn. So I would go with what a simple sweater pattern says plus at least one skein. And that should cover you for a lot of options, right? Like, it will still help you have so many different patterns to choose from when it comes down to it. And then I would go and do that for different weights of yarn because yes, different weights of yarn is going to affect how many skeins that you need. So a typical skein of yarn has 100 grams, and the thinner that yarn gets, the more yardage you get in a skein. The thicker that yarn gets, the less yardage you have in a skein. So that is going to change things. So I would just look at, again, another simple sweater pattern in a different weight of yarn. So if you know that you enjoy using fingering weight, sport weight, and DK weight yarn, go ahead and find a fingering weight, a sport weight, and a DK weight sweater that is plain and simple, and write down that yardage plus at least a skein of that. I feel like if you have that knowledge under your belt, you'll be able to figure out enough yarn when you're in a situation. But always, especially with festival yarns, it may be special colors that aren't going to be dyed anymore, or special yarns you won't be able to get easily, I would err on the side of caution and get an extra skein or two if budget allows, because you may not get back to that yarn again. If anyone else has any ideas on how to make that like even easier, like maybe you go ahead and know like how many skeins you need. It's challenging, I think, for that. I think yardage is going to be a little more accurate because not every yarn has the same, like even if it's 100 grams, it might not have the same yardage. So yardage might be a little more accurate. So hope that helps. That's what I would do. Have I actually done that? No. I think that's a good idea though, especially before you get there, because sometimes when you're at like a festival or in a convention center, like your phone doesn't work as well as it does when you're at home. Okay, let's see. Oh, actually, you know what? There was a question about my Canada blanket and if I had to, if they were all the same size and did I have to do some heavy duty blocking? So I just realized I kind of answered that in the project section. So I did do some blocking of my squares, but I didn't do anything crazy. I'm okay with them being slightly different sizes because they'll be fine. Okay, so I think this is the last question here is from Candy. Have you received any updates on the whips you destashed earlier this year? Did that tessellated pullover ever become an FO? I love the idea of destashing whips that aren't working anymore. Yeah, so before we left for Canada, I was cleaning things out. Actually, that might have been a couple months before. And I had two projects that I just knew I was not going to finish. And one of them was the tessellated pullover. I had started it. Ooh, what year was that? 2022? I guess it must have been 2022. I started it for Rhinebeck and I got up to the shoulders, like almost up to the shoulders. And then I just knew I wasn't going to finish in time for Rhinebeck. And I kept holding on to the project, thinking I would get back to it and finish it. And when I kind of cleaned out my stash and my whips, I realized that I didn't really want to work on it anymore. And yeah, that's a shame. Like that does kind of stink. I bought all that yarn, I put all that time into it, but I didn't want it to just sit around making me feel guilty. And so I found somebody who wanted to take it and finish it. And I also am so of the mind, like when I'm giving something away, I really don't care what you do with it. Like you don't owe me anything you don't owe me to finish it. You don't owe me to use it for the same thing. Like if you wanted to rip the yarn apart and use it for something else, I love that. It's just, I know I'm not going to use it. And if you're going to use it, that is so great. So somebody took it, they wanted to finish it. They were like similar size to me. So I actually don't know if it got finished. I don't know. And now I'm blanking on the other one that I gave away and what that was. But yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't checked back in with them. I don't want to put any pressure on them, of course, because like I said, it doesn't matter to me if they do finish it or not. But if they do finish it, it would be really cool to see it. And that would be really fun to share. Like that would make me happy. So happy. Like, of course, it's exciting to see people putting to use the things that you gave them. But also no pressure to do it. So no updates right now, but yeah, it would be really, really cool to see. As I shared at the beginning of the episode, I am the sponsor for the October Pigskin Party Challenge. I think it's called a challenge, or quarter challenge, I think is what it's called. So we are doing cozies. Now, I have a lot of things to explain, especially if you haven't heard of the Pigskin Party before, because it's not my make-along, it is Jen's, who is Boston Jen, or the Downseller Studio podcast. But I want to kind of start with the cozies and then we'll get into the make-along. So just bear with me here. So for October, I'm teaming up with Jen and we are doing the Cozy Up Challenge. So again, it's all taking place on her end of things. If you're in the Love and Stitches membership, we're also doing a cozy challenge. I wanted it to be easy to do the crossover between the two make-alongs because they are so much fun. So I have brought lots of cozies to show. So for the challenge, you can make any cozy you want. It does not have to be my patterns. And a cozy is anything that is like a case or a cover for essentially an inanimate object, right? Like if you make a sweater, it's not a cozy because you're not an inanimate object. But if you made a sweater for a bottle, then that would be a cozy. So I have lots of cozies. I have knit and crochet yarn cozies, and then I have just knitted bottle and can cozies. This is my cozy collection of all of the cozies that I have made, and some that have been made for me over the years. So I don't think I have a skein of yarn to put in here, but this is what the knitted cozies look like. They're so fun for your leftover yarn. So they work great in self-striping. So that is a Yarn Cozy Light, which fits a 100 gram skein of yarn in fingering, sport, or DK weight. This is, this is a 50 gram size, but this is the crocheted version that has rib on it. It's so nice. It's also called the Yarn Cozy, the 50 gram one is called the Yarn Cozy Mini. That's another just Yarn Cozy Light. There's also just a simple single crochet version. They all have this really nice I-cord on the top that I love so much, and I have a tutorial on how to do that. This one is a 50 gram knitted cozy. So this is the mini Yarn Cozy. And then yes, perfect. I also have 20 gram ones because sometimes you want to cake up your 20 gram yarn cakes and they just fall apart. So this is a 20 gram cake cozy for the knitted version. And then this is the 20 gram crochet version. These have more stretch to them than these do, but they're all so fun to make and they're all so perfect for leftovers. Oh, I forgot. There's also a faux cable version in the knitted one. They're so much fun. I love making those yarn cozies. But the original one, the very first one I made is this bottle cozy, and I actually made it with the intention of using team colors, so it's even better that this is for the Pigskin Party. So this is the what do I call it, classic bottle cozy. It has like little sporty stripes in it. You start at the bottom and you cast on here, and people always ask, why is there a hole in the bottom? And it's because it's so much easier to start this way. It's so much easier to start this way. I think you start with like 20 stitches rather than starting with like a pinhole cast on or something like that. Plus, it makes it easier to actually set this down. So this does act as a coaster, so you don't have to worry about sweat or anything, but you also don't have to worry about it like bobbling on the bottom here. So this is the bottle cozy. You can do it in team colors if you want to. I've also just done it, again, so perfect for leftovers and just like fun colors that I have. Self-striping is really fun. I mean, these are just so great. And then I also have a can version. I have two can versions, actually. I have one for just like your typical 12-ounce can, and then I have one for like the tall, skinny cans. This is my favorite one. This is my one that I use all of the time when I am drinking like sparkling water. So I love this one. This one's Kent's. I grabbed these from the van today because I haven't brought them in yet inside. But yeah, they're just great. You can just hold on to them, keeps your hands from getting cold, and plus acts as a little coaster. And they're just fun, right? They're just so fun to knit and distinguish your own like drink, right? This is my drink. So I have so many of these. They're great gifts. They're just really, really fun to make. I have made a new addition for the Yarn Cozy for Pigskin Party. And this has been a secret. It's been in testing for the last month. I've been writing up the pattern and I wanted it to be a surprise. So this actually dropped yesterday on October 1st. So if you have the Yarn Cozy Light pattern, the knitted Yarn Cozy Light pattern, you would have gotten this straight into your Ravelry inbox. If you have it on Etsy, I will have to email it to you, and I don't have a way to mass do that. So you just let me know and I will send it over to you. But this is only going to be available for the month of October for Boss Engine's Pigskin Party. And it is this football colorwork version. I haven't woven in my ends yet, so forgive me here. But this is just another fun version of the Yarn Cozy Light. So it starts the same way, you increase, and then you do 5 sets of color work. And it's hard to tell here, but there's actually some purling right here. So there's a little texture to act as those laces, but these are so fun. And my testers made so many different fun colorful versions. One of them even took a Miami Dolphin self-striping yarn and used it as the background, and it looks so cool. So this is really fun. I'm really proud of this. I haven't done any other colorwork versions before, but now I'm kind of inspired to like do little special ones that you can add to your yarn cozies and make them so fun. So if you would like to do this pattern, it's inside the Yarn Cozy Light pattern just for the month of October. So it's a little special edition. Okay, so now let me get back to what the heck the Pigskin Party is. Okay, so the Pigskin Party is something that Jen has been doing for I don't know how many years. I think it says on there 9, something like that, a lot of years. And it is a make-along that runs from the beginning of the NFL season until the Super Bowl. So it's a long-term make-along, but along the way, you are making any project you want, really. As long as you start it after the start date of Pigskin, which I think was like September 4th or something like that, and you finish it before the Super Bowl in February, it will count for the make-along. And you count up your yardage, I believe, because it's kind of like that football reference. So every so many yards, you get like touchdowns and different things. It's all explained really well on her Ravelry group. I'm going to link her website page that takes you to like all the different places you need to go. So in order to participate and win prizes, you do need to register, but it's completely free. When you register, you also get put on a team, which is also just for fun, but it's a really cool make-along. So for the Cozy Up Challenge in particular, you will need to start your cozy on or after Wednesday, October 1st, and finish it by, I think it's Friday, October 31st. You will get 100 challenge points for completing a cozy, and you will get 100 bonus points if you use one of my patterns. I think that's because I'm a sponsor as well, or it's because I'm the sponsor of the challenge. Sorry, Jen, I don't know the details perfectly, but I did take these off of the Ravelry page. You can do a max of 2 cozy projects in this challenge. So if you do 2 cozies and both of them are my pattern, you could get a max of 400 points for this challenge. I am doing a special prize that will be drawn by Jen at the close of this challenge, and that prize is going to be an adventure advent. So I'm going to make a set of 25 20-gram minis from all of the yarns that I've been collecting over the last couple years from 50 states. You can kind of see them all back there. I have a ton of them. Plenty to share. So I'm going to put together a little advent with those yarns all like balled up and everything. I'm really excited to put that together, and that's going to be my prize for this challenge. So you can only be eligible to win that if you complete a cozy and are part of the Pigskin Party. Now, I am doing a 10% off all of my patterns, including the cozies, but also my other patterns with the code Pigskin Party, and that's going to go all the way through the Super Bowl. So that will be good for a long time. And then last thing, Jen and I are doing a Zoom. I'm participating in her Zoom on Thursday, October 2nd. So today, if you're watching it when this comes out, at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And again, you can find all the information for this. I'm going to put Jen's website down below, and then all the detailed stuff goes into the Ravelry page, because then it's all sorted out into different spaces. So if you go into the Ravelry group and you go to the Cozy Up Challenge, you'll find the Zoom information, you'll find all the details about how to do it. And then if you want to register for the pigskin party, it's just on Jen's website that I'm going to link down below. Okay, that was a lot. I think that's everything. If you do have the Yarn Cozy Light pattern and for some reason this didn't come to you, just send me an email. Email please, that's the best place to find me. It's nittynatty@gmail.com. Also, if you have the Etsy pattern and you'd like the update with that, I'm happy to put that in there. Okay, I think that's it for news. Life lately has been so good. I have been focusing on getting some sleep. We've been doing a lot of cleaning. This past week, I also kind of did like a get your life together appointment situation. I went to, Kit and I both went to the dentist, I went to the eye doctor, Toaster got a bath, I got a haircut, I got my eyebrows waxed. It's like all those things that you can't really take care of on the road, I got taken care of this week. Plus I've been cleaning up and sorting through all of our stuff because it has gotten scrambled in so many different rooms and places over the past 2 years that we've been coming and going from my parents' house. So getting that all back in order, getting it more inventoried and boxed up for our eventual move, because this is just temporary for us staying here. We are going to be moving eventually. So getting everything in line with that. I've made a lot of progress this week, so I'm really happy. And then also just getting enough sleep and knitting and crocheting and getting to work at a desk. I mean, just all those little things are so nice. Didn't realize, I mean, I do realize, but like you don't really realize until you get back home how much of a strain living in a van and being on the road really adds to your body. And so I feel so much better physically, like when we're back home. It's really nice. I also got to go to Bliss for knit night this week, which was great. I'm going to get to meet up with some friends this weekend to knit. And yeah, just getting back with everything. I got to go to my brother's this weekend, so that's really fun. It's just been really nice. Oh, and I got to start back with Pilates. I went yesterday and I started back whenever I come back to Pilates, because I think it's been like, oh gosh, it must have been, I first did Pilates in Texas, so then I had a big long break, and then I started it again in New York, and then I had another big long break, and I started it again here in Tennessee, and then I had started again in Tennessee. No. Anyway, it's been at least 3 times that I've had these big long breaks and come back to Pilates. So I know to be humble, and I always start myself back in like the intro classes to get my body back used to doing it. And I'm so glad I did, because I know mentally what to do, but I have lost some of my strength. So I struggled yesterday in the class, and I am sore today, but in a good way. It feels so good. All right, well, I think that's everything for this week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.